You ever seen those? FN 5.7 by 28. FN Herstal USA is one of the oldest battle-proven firearms in the country, and the 5.7 by 28 has pretty much only been available in one handgun, and that's the FN 5.7, until Ruger came out and said, let's make one, but let's make it about half the price. This is a blowback design semi-auto that fires the 5.7 by 28 round. This is a screaming fast little round. They claim somewhere around 17 or 1800 feet per second out of this gun. And that's pretty good. That's what Ruger claims anyways. Usually when you get velocities like that, you're looking at a lot longer barrel. But Ruger claims about, with the 40 grain ammo in there, about 17 to 1800 feet per second out of this thing. It is a screaming fast little round. It is a little polymer tip bullet on there. They have some other ones available. I think the lowest is like a somewhere around a 30 grain bullet, and then there's a couple 40 grain bullets. There's a couple other smaller manufacturers that make these, but this is F&N's round here, and this thing comes with two 20-round magazines, and they're a pretty big magazine because that's kind of a long bullet for a pistol round. Not terribly long, but pretty good size. And this is, like I said, it's a direct blowback gun. So it comes back. It will lock open on an empty cylinder. It's got a little fiber optic front sight on it. It has adjustable rear sight, both for elevation and windage on there. And it's got the ambidextrous safety, kind of like the 1911. It's on both sides there. It only has the one mag release on here, and I think it may be reversible. There is a little blank piece on there that you could probably switch it around. I'm not 100% sure. It's got a light and slide on it. It's got a little opening on the front there. It does not have a ported barrel, and it's not a very big barrel because that's kind of a small projectile, 5.7 millimeter. That puts it a little bigger than a 22. But screaming fast little center fire rounds, so they are reloadable. Now, a lot of people shy away from this because this little box of 50 rounds here was 30 bucks. And really, you only had one handgun that you were going to fire these in, and that was the F&N 5.7, which runs about 14 to 1500 bucks. Now, the Ruger version of this thing is a nice looking, good feeling gun. It's not terribly heavy, but the recoil, they say on these things, is pretty light. But it's half the price of the F&N 5.7, and that's one of the reasons I shied away from it anyways. Let's give this thing a try. This is a loaner gun, so it's not mine, but we're going to give it a try and see how it shoots. All right, loading the magazine on these things is not a hard task. They are kind of a double stack magazine. They do hold 20 rounds plus one in the chamber. So just push them in, push them back. A lot like a AR-15 magazine, almost like a miniature version of the AR-15 round anyways. They are a steel mag. They have a polymer floor plate on them. And like I said, they hold 20 rounds. They got a couple little windows there at, let's see, 6, 11, 16 on that side, and then 5, 10, 15, and 20 there. We'll get a few rounds loaded up in this thing and give it a try and see how it does. All right, there's 15. Every now and then give it a little tap, make sure they're seated all the way to the back there. 15, 16, 17. There's 18, 19, and 20. I can count. Loading the full 20 rounds in there is not too bad. They probably make a speed loader or a loading tool for this thing, but really the 20 rounds, putting them in there wasn't that hard even down to the last round. We're going to put a couple more in this magazine. Probably just going to put, let's put about 5 of them in there and see how it does. And then we'll do a magazine drop and then put the other one in there. The mag release button is a little difficult to get to. It's kind of a long stretch for your thumb, and you know, it's out there a little ways, so really I've got to turn my hand a little bit. A comfortable grip for me is going to be about right there, but then my thumb won't quite reach it. And I got pretty good sized hands anyways, so I got to rotate it just a little bit to hit that and pop it out. But I got a couple targets set up there, and we're going to go ahead and take 5 shots with it and see how it does. We'll take a couple at the 7-yard and a couple at the 15-yard and see how they look. Okay, I've got the magazine in there with 5 rounds in it. We're going to go ahead and pull the slide back, rack one in the chamber. It's fairly easy to pull the slide back. It's not terrible. And one of the nice things about this is it seems to have a fairly low bore axis on there. Your sights are up pretty high. It is drilled and tapped up here on the top for different optics you want to put on it, RMR or you know, whatever kind of sight you want to put on there. But it feels pretty good in the hand. The grip is not real wide, but it's kind of long because of those longer rounds that are in there. We're going to go ahead and try a little bit of accuracy and the feel of the trigger and see how it does. I'm going to fire a couple rounds at the lower right-hand target on the targets I've already got up there. They've got a few bullet holes in them already, but we should be able to tell the difference on which ones were which. Let's give it a try and see how it does. It's a pretty light trigger pull. Now those cases are getting shot out of here pretty good. It's a pretty nice trigger pull anyways. Let's take a couple shots at the farther target, the center on that one. Locks open on the last round. We're going to go take a look at those shots and see how I did on them. All right, here I am at the 7-yard target. Like I said, this was a target I already had up there. There's my 2 shots right there. That's pretty good. A new gun to me. I've never shot it before. Those are the first rounds I've fired through it. Now we're going to walk back here and look at the 15-yard target. I took 2 shots at it also, and it looks to me like it's that one right there and probably that one right there. Some of these were from the, no, I took 3 shots. So 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 shots at the 15-yard target. Pretty soft shooting gun. Really nice trigger on it if you ask me. Let's load up that 20-round magazine and do some rapid fire stuff with it. All right, I've got 20 rounds loaded in there. Let's take 5 pretty quick shots up there at the 15-yard target, see how it does. Yeah, this thing is really soft shooting. It doesn't have a whole lot of muzzle flip. Maybe it does a little bit, but it's not terrible. The recoil is pretty soft in it, and I got those 5 shots on that target at 15 yards. Not the best grouping in the world, but it was easy to keep right on target. Let's go ahead and do a few more right here at the closer one, see how that does. Yeah, that's a nice shooting gun. It really is. I've still got 10 more in there. 20 rounds, you are able to zip through 20 rounds pretty quick on this. Now, most people don't want to do that because the rounds are pretty expensive, but hopefully with Ruger producing these at a price that's a lot more affordable, the ammo will be more, they'll produce more of it and hopefully bring the price down a little bit, because so far it's only available, I mean, most of the time when people get it, they get it for just a few guns. It's the FNN 5.7, which is, like I said, a really expensive gun, or the P90. There are a couple other guns that are chambered in 5.7 by 28, but they're all pretty expensive. This one's not that way. All right, there's 25 rounds through the Ruger 5.7. Like I said, it's a pretty soft shooting gun. The muzzle flip's not terrible on it. You are able to get it right back on target. I could probably concentrate a little bit more and probably minimize the muzzle flip even from what I did, but if you ask me, it's not bad. And like I said, the price is a whole lot better than the FN 5.7. Sorry, FN, you're a good firearm, but Ruger seems to have challenged you on this one, because this is a pretty good shooting firearm too. I mean, I've only fired 25 rounds to it, but I've watched a lot of other videos and I've talked to a lot of other people about them, and they seem to like them. They're pretty new in the stores right now. In fact, a lot of stores don't have them in stock, but I have a feeling they'll get there and they'll sell because the price is lower. And like I said, it'll probably bring the cost of the ammunition down too. Let's look at how this thing comes apart for cleaning, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, disassembly for cleaning this thing is pretty much a breeze. Just make sure it is empty. This one is clear. Lock it back, make sure there's nothing in there. There are no rounds down in the chamber. There is no magazine in the gun. Go ahead and release your slide. And you're going to push this button in here a little bit. You can push it in with your finger. It takes a little bit of effort. It's not terrible. But just go ahead and hold your slide a little bit and roll that down. You'll hear a click in there. And then you can take and push your slide forward a little bit and pull it right off. Piece of cake. And then disassembly here, you have a captive unit on your spring, your recoil spring and your guide rod, and then your barrel just lifts right on up. Easy to clean, easy to put back in. Just reverse order. Make sure your barrel is pulled all the way back. Take your small end of your guide rod, put it in the front there, push it in behind the lug right there, push it all the way down. It's a piece of cake. It goes right in there. Not a problem with it at all. Make sure your barrel is, it will rotate just a little bit, but make sure it's all the way back on there. And then go ahead and fit that lug. You can see this lug with the little notch in it right there. That's going to catch on this pin in the front there. So go ahead and put that down in there. It's going to be just a little bit forward when it pushes in. Pull it back that little bit and then rotate. Make sure your barrel and everything is back when you pull that back. And rotate that pin up. You'll hear it click. Push it back in there. Go ahead and function check it. And it's good to go. All right, like I said, disassembly, reassembly, cleaning is really a breeze on this gun. It's not a complicated handgun. It is a good feeling pistol. It shoots really well, and if you really take your time, it seems to me like it's pretty accurate. Now, I didn't do any kind of, setting it in a stand to do any shots, but my first 2 shots on that 7-yard target were within a half inch each other, right there in the center of that little target, pretty close to it anyways. And then the shots at the farther target, the 15-yard one, again, not taking my time with it, but I mean, they're pretty much right there. Now, at one time, Ruger claims that the 5.7 was a possible replacement for the 9mm. Now, not going to do away with the 9mm altogether, but as far as a NATO round anyways. And it is a screaming fast little round. It's a center fire, so they are reloadable, but really 9mm is, it's a good round. But these got a lot better penetration than a 9mm will, because a 9mm is pretty much that rounded blunt tip on it, where these things, the ballistic tips or even a full metal jacket, that right there is going to be a devastating round, even against some body armor, I would imagine. But anyways, the Ruger 5.7 is going to give F&N pretty much a run for their money, because this is a good shooting gun and it handles the round really well. I only fired 25 rounds through it and didn't have any issues with it. There's a lot more people out there that are that own these and have fired a lot of rounds through them, and I really have not heard any bad talk about them yet. They are still fairly new, but Ruger makes a good firearm. A lot of people don't like them. A lot of people do like them. It doesn't matter which brand you pick. Somebody's going to hate it. Somebody's going to love it. And this one, it's a pretty good gun. It does have a little Picatinny rail on the front there. It's got almost a 5-inch barrel on it. It weighs like 24 ounces, somewhere around there, so not super heavy. Even with the full magazine in it, it's not going to be super heavy. It's going to be a lot lighter than a full mag of 9mm. But it's a good shooting gun, and it's affordable if you want to get into the 5.7 rounds. Give it a little time. With these things becoming more and more popular, the price of the ammo should drop too. Right now, the only brand I found is F&N brand ammo, but there'll be a lot of other ones that are going to start producing these things if they see the sales of these really pick up. They want to make money, and this is a good shooting little gun there. And if you want to use it for a competition gun, like I said, you can put an RMR on there or a rugged miniaturized reflex sight on it, a little red dot, or whatever you want to call it. Good round. Anyways, thanks for taking a look at it with me. If you could hit this button up here to check out some of my other videos, hit this button down here to subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review.